His Excellency, President John.
Thank you. Kindly sit down. Thank you very much. Let me thank all of you who have taken time to attend and all your representatives who have spoken on your behalf. This is one of the most comprehensive town hall meetings we've had. And I think this is one of the longest. You've had almost 16 different organizations represented. And I want to assure you that everything you've said has been captured, and we're going to go back to Accra and sift through, because some of the things that you have said are things that your colleagues in other regions have also said. So if it's teachers, some of the issues you've raised here are issues that teachers, some of the things that people of your same profession have raised in other regions. And so we've captured everything. When we go, we'll sift through, and then we'll take out what is important to be included into our manifesto. I cannot respond to everything that you've said, but I'll just go through quickly and I'll give some comments on some of them, and then after that we'll bring this to a close. The pastor from the local council of churches, he asked why prisons are in town. The prisons, most of the prisons were built in colonial times. And when they were built, they were not in town. But the town has grown to overtake the prisons. And so, when I was president, the prisons council that I set up came out with what they call Project Efiase. And Project Efiase was supposed to improve the welfare of prisoners, but also one of the key objectives was to develop new prisons outside, where they could have enough space for recreation, they could have prison farms so that they could grow food to feed themselves and all that kind of thing. So it's a project that I'll urge the new Prisons Council that will come into place when we come into office to take up, so that we can decongest the prisons that are in town. We will also improve the prison conditions in town so that we can hold remand prisoners there, because they normally have to be sent to court because their cases are being heard. But the long-term prisoners who have been convicted, we can take them out to the prisons camp so that they go and serve their sentences there. But we're going to introduce reforms in the system, so that it's not everything you must send a person to jail. I mean, if I steal a goat, really, I mean, you go and lock me up for 2 years or 3 years. Government will spend more than the cost of that goat to feed me for 3 years. And so we must change the sentencing regime. If I steal a goat, you can give me 2 weeks hard labor in Bolgatanga town. I'll desilt all the gutters, I'll sweep the street for 2 weeks. It will be a lesson for me. And the member of the local council of churches again spoke about the airport. And I think that I spoke about that this morning at the House of Chiefs. We acquired the land when we were in office. I personally went to inspect the land for the airport. But before we could develop it, we left office. There are efforts to start developing it, because there's a big corporate organization that has come that needs the airport to be able to fly directly from Accra here. And so we will encourage that they should go ahead. If we come into office, we will assist them to be able to build the airport quickly, so that people can fly from here to Accra without having to drive all the way to Tamale. And then he talked about the health insurance. It's true, the health insurance has collapsed, because government is not releasing the health insurance levy to the National Health Insurance Authority to pay the facilities for the claims that they are bringing. And one of the things they've also done is they passed the law they call the capping and realignment law. And that capping and realignment law, they have capped all statutory funds. So when they start collecting the levy, as soon as it reaches the cap that they have placed on it, any extra levy that is paid by the Ghanaian population, instead of going to National Health Insurance Authority, it goes into the consolidated fund. And so NHIA is not able to acquire enough money to be able to pay the claims. When we come, we'll take the cap off, so that all the money Ghanaians pay as National Health Insurance levy will go to the National Health Insurance Authority to be able to pay the claims. I don't know what jinx is following the MPP administration, but anytime we try hard and we settle conflicts and we have peace, as soon as they come, those conflicts flare up again. When we were in office, we did a lot of work to settle the issues of the Boku conflict. By the time I left office, Boku was at peace, people were going about their work. It had become a busy commercial center. As soon as we left, I don't know what has happened. Boku has exploded again. It means that when we come, we have a lot of work to do. We have to get all the factions together, get them to lay down their arms, let's get them to start talking again, and let's bring peace to Boku. Because as long as there's no peace in Boku, there can't be peace in Upper East region. As long as there's no peace in Boku, there can't be peace in Ghana. If one part of your house is on fire, you cannot sit in another part and think it won't affect you. And so I can assure you, it will be a priority for us to make sure that Boku becomes peaceful again, so that the people there can go about their work. Boku is close to the border. It's an important commercial center. A lot of trade takes place between us and our neighboring countries. And so that will be a priority for us, I can assure you. Then he spoke about pilgrimage. This was raised in Eastern region when I went. There's a difference. The Muslims have what they call the 5 pillars of Islam. And the 5th pillar is to go to Hajj. So it's a central pillar of their faith that they must perform the pilgrimage. For us who are Christians, it's not obligatory. Because even we say that where 2 or others are gathered, there I am too. We believe that wherever a few of us gather to pray, Jesus comes amongst us. And so for us, it's not by force that we should go to Israel. But like I said, if you have the ability to do so and you go, it strengthens your faith. Because when you go, you see the holy places where the history about the birth of Jesus and everything happened. And you come back strengthened in your faith as a Christian. But aside from that, even on the issue of the pilgrimage, Christians, we don't agree. I remember when I became president, we talked about facilitating pilgrimages to Israel, and there was so much confusion. I said, look, I don't want to touch this issue again. So let's leave it as it is for now, until some consensus can be built around it. Infrastructure in the tertiary institutions. Unfortunately, that too has become a problem because of the same capping and realignment law. This government has capped the GET fund. So any money that is collected under the GET fund levy, when it reaches a certain cap, the rest of the money goes into the consolidated fund. So one of the things we'll do is we'll take the cap off, so that all the 2.5% GET fund levy goes to the GET fund, so that they can pay the contractors who are working on the projects in our tertiary institutions. Apart from that, there's something you people don't know. This government has taken the GET fund 7 years in advance. They have borrowed it under what they call a Dachi bond, and they have spent that money. And so when the money comes to the GET fund, almost 60% of that money goes to pay the Dachi bond. And that is one of the problems why the Get Fund is starved of funds. And so my hope is that the Dachi bond will be part of the debt restructuring so that I can free up the Get Fund to receive money to pay the contractors who are working for the Get Fund. The other things, conditions of service, and that's why I said somewhere, I said you can only share what you've created. If you don't create, can you share? You can't. Because if you don't create, you can't share. The economy is in crisis. And I still believe that we are not even being told the true state of the economy. They say when a frog dies, that's when you know its true length. I know that when this government dies and it leaves office, that is when we will know the true state of the economy. And I can assure you that that state of the economy is worse than they are telling us today. And that is why I said that we should all be measured in our expectations. We are all hoping that we'll be able to put the economy back on its feet so that all the things that we all have talked about, we can realize them. But one of the promises I've made is, as soon as I become president, we'll call a stakeholder meeting and we'll open the books to you and you'll see what the true state of the economy is, what the state of Ghana's finances are. And all of us will have to tighten our belts, including myself. And that's why I'm saying that I would lead a reduction in government expenditure. We'll reduce the number of ministers. We'll reduce the number of ministries. We will reduce the budget of the office of the president so that we can make savings. Even as we ask Ghanaians to tighten their belts, we ourselves will be tightening our belts. Today in Ghana, we have a situation where the president and his vice president are telling us to tighten our belts. Meanwhile, they are loosening their belts. The office of the president budget in 2016 was 700 million cedis. Last year, the office of the president budget was 1.7 billion cedis. 1.7 billion cedis. This year it has climbed to 2.4 billion cedis. So even as they are asking us to make sacrifices, they are increasing the budget of the office of the president. And so we will make the sacrifices that we are asking the people of Ghana to make. We are not going to ask you to make those sacrifices alone. We will provide digital infrastructure in all tertiary institutions. I believe that part of our national resources should be employed in providing Wi-Fi in our tertiary institutions so that our students and our lecturers can have the opportunity to be able to do their research work and prepare their notes. I think the next one is doctors in rural areas, that there should be some compensation for doctors who agree to serve in rural areas. I think so. I believe in that. And then he talked about the lack of infrastructure in hospitals, lack of equipment, shortage of staff, and several other things that bedevil the health sector. All the things you said, our doctor who came here has been captured by our sister Beatrice Annan in her laptop, and we shall compare it to what your other doctors have said, and we'll take something out of it. The presentation by the CSOs was a very interesting one, and I agree with much of what you said. I just want to assure you that the SADA document that you presented, we have a copy of it, and our manifesto committee has it. Indeed, it's part of the blueprint that we have for improving incomes in the savannah area of Ghana, that is the northern regions of Ghana. It includes irrigation so that we can do more farming. It includes introducing cash crops so that our farmers can earn more. It is part of what I was talking about in reintroducing cotton production and using the whole cotton value chain. So we'll produce the cotton, we'll build the factories so that the factories will produce the yarn, and when they produce the yarn, we'll produce the grey baft, that's the foundation textiles, and then we can sell that to GTP, Akosombo Textiles, and all the other textile printing companies. If there's even the need, we can export some of it so that we can get some more money. And so that SADA document is with us, and we are working on it. It says council payments for forms for recruitment into the public sector. We'll capture that. Normally, it is used as internally generated funds for the institutions to supplement whatever budget is given to them. But if government is financing those institutions properly, there's no need for them to be taking that money off Ghanaians. Sometimes they advertise, I've heard about it before, they advertise, you know you are taking only 100 people, and you sell 2,000 forms, and at the end of it, 1,900 people are not going to be taken. But you collect their money, and then you say it's your internally generated funds. It sounds a bit like this to me. And so it's something we'll look at. Then they talked about market premiums. The work with market premiums was part of the single spine. We didn't finish work on that aspect of it before we left office. We were supposed to complete what we call a labor market survey. And the labor market survey will specify exactly which organizations or where there are shortages of labor. The market premium was being introduced to encourage more people to go into particular areas. And so areas where we have critical shortages of labor, we would give them a market premium so that people will be attracted to go there. Unfortunately, we didn't finish the labor market survey. And then apart from that, everybody said their sector was important. And so they all deserve market premium. And so it became difficult to know who to give market premium and who not to give it. And so I remember that interim market premiums were awarded for the work to be finished before we agree on what the level of market premium should be. Unfortunately, we left office, and the MPP has been in office, and I don't know why Labour and them have not concluded this matter, and then you have left it for me to come and deal with this matter again. By now you should have sorted this thing out so that at least I can have some peace to concentrate on other matters. But if it is left, when we come, we'll sit together and we'll look at it and we'll decide and we'll move forward together. Car waivers were banned because people were misusing it. It was targeted to help specific professions to be able to acquire a car at affordable prices so that it will help you with your work. Nurses and doctors are called in the night to come and work, and you don't expect that they will come out and take public transportation. They could get knocked down, like you're saying, by a vehicle. They could be attacked by armed robbers and all that. And so we brought the car waiver so that you could be able to buy your car at an affordable price. Unfortunately, some people started to take money from car dealers, pretend that they are importing the car, and they get a commission from the car dealer and sell the car. And so if we can find a way where we guarantee that the car will really go to the person who needs it, I don't have any objection to us reintroducing the car waivers. So when we come, we'll sit and we'll discuss this, and if we can find a foolproof way to make sure that the waivers are not abused, we will reintroduce them. There are many other issues that were captured. The one who spoke for nurses said we should cut off nursing at the degree level, and so we should scrap the diploma and the certificate nursing. I'm not sure if we can do that. We still have some space for diploma and certificate nurses, just that we must improve the standard that they come out with, because there are some very remote rural areas. It's difficult to get a degree nurse to go and stay there and work, but the certificate and diploma nurses accept to go to those places. And so for now we cannot make that cutoff. What I'll encourage is that we improve their quality as certificate and diploma nurses so that they give better treatment to the people. We should also make them upwardly mobile. So if you are a certificate nurse, we should give you a certain number of years to write the exam and move to diploma. And after a certain number of years, you must write and get entry as a degree nurse so that there is self-improvement in the system as we go along. And I think that would address it. Dressmakers, much of what you said is captured by your colleagues in other places. Equipment, small loans, and so on and so forth. We also have the National Apprenticeship Program, which will register you, the masters, dressmakers, hairdressers, all the craftspeople will register you, and government will introduce what we call a National Apprenticeship Program. And under that program, those of you who are registered, you must have a decent place where you're doing your work. It doesn't mean if you're under some tree working, we'll send apprentices to you. You must have a decent place. Government will allocate every year some money for the National Apprenticeship Program. It will be administered through your district assemblies, but your organizations will be involved. So you know that this amount of money has come for the National Apprenticeship Program. And your executives, dressmakers executive, Ghana Hairdressers and Beauticians Association executive, indeed all those of you under the Council of Indigenous Business Associations, SIBA, you will work with the assemblies to see how that money is disbursed. And when we give you the money, we'll give you the apprentices, and you have to train them. And out of the money, you'll be giving them small chop money to be going home and coming back. It's not for you, the master, to chop alone. You have to give them T&T to be going and coming. Small scale miners. I think I spoke about this 2 days ago when I was in Eastern Region, because I went to one of the mining areas. We're going to open district mining offices in every district where there's mining. And we're going to bring Minerals Commission officers to man the district. We'll bring Environmental Protection Agency officers to man the district. We're going to bring mining engineers to be part of the district. And so there will be officers here who will supervise the mining sector. And so for small-scale miners, if you have a concession, we'll attach the mining engineers to you and show you how to do the mining. But there's a difference between small-scale mining concessions and artisanal mining. And so artisanal mining too is important. Where the big companies have taken a concession, they know where the bulk of the gold is. Some of the concession they really don't need, and they don't intend to mine there because the gold is of a lower grade, and so they don't want to invest in gold that is of a lower grade. We can rezone those places, and then all these are young boys who also want to do small and get some money with some one excavator and all that. We will rezone those places to them so that they also can get something to look after themselves. And after they have finished, the mining engineers will let them use their equipment and level the ground, and we will replant trees on the ground so that we can reforest the place. Dressmakers, we will decentralize the school uniforms. And so the school uniforms for children, our children, you, the local dressmakers, will give you the contracts, and then you sew the school uniforms in your district. Assembly members, I said I'll pay you allowances, and you have thanked me in advance, so it has committed me anyway. And so I want to say again, we'll pay you allowances. And the way we're going to pay you the allowances is that we're going to reduce the budget of the office of the president, and we'll use the money that we save to pay assembly members so that they also earn something to look after themselves. We've calculated it, and to pay all the 6,000 and something assembly members in this country for 1 year, we need 100 million cedis. The office of the president budget is 2.4 billion cedis. We can spare 100 cedis to pay assembly members. It shouldn't be a problem. And so we'll do that. Out of your allowance, we're going to create a Provident Fund so that a certain portion will be put aside as a Provident Fund, At the end of your 4 years of service, it will be an interest-bearing fund. So at the end of your 4 years of service, your money with the interest that it has accumulated will be given to you, so that if you don't win your election, you can go home in peace. If you win, you come back and continue your work. So it's going to be a Provident Fund, not ex gratia. It's Provident. So your money will be paid in. You will get a statement. You know how much money you have, how much interest has come on it. After 4 years, you take your money. If it's 15,000 cedis, if it's 12,000 cedis, you take your money and then you go and do something with it. The rest, I've captured them. Waivers Association, they want equipment. Hairdressers, the same thing. Volta region, very good point. I was wondering what you people were going to talk about. But I talked about the Eastern Corridor Road. The Eastern Corridor Road is very important to the Upper East region because it's one of the shortest ways of going down south. And so it's supposed to go from Kulungungu right through Nakwanduri, through Gushegu, through Yendi, and then it goes through Damanko, and then gets to Jasikai, and then down through Hohoi, and then to Peki, and then all the way to Tema. And so the Volta Region Association know that that's the fastest way to get back home for Hogbechocho and for Asogliyam Festival. And so you can be assured, we will work on that road and we'll finish it. Inshallah, before we leave office after 4 years, we would have finished the Eastern Corridor Road. And then they talked about love for country. I think that one of the problems we're having is that in these days we don't catch the children young and teach them what love for country is. When we were young people, we had lessons on how to be a responsible citizen, and teachers had a period where they'll come and teach us your responsibilities as a citizen. They even taught us good manners, courtesy for boys and girls, that when you are sitting with elders, you must not be too noisy, and that when you are sitting in a crowd, don't let out bad gas. You know, when you are finished eating, don't belt. I mean, those kinds of things that are unmannerly. You know, they taught us as children. You know, and so how to even dress nicely, tuck in your shirt and look decent, make sure your clothes are clean. We were taught all these when we were in primary school. At least I was taught these. Unfortunately, in the new curriculum, when you ask them, where is responsible citizenship? Where is courtesy for boys and girls? They say, oh, it's in social studies. And it's lost in social studies. You can't find it anywhere. And so when we do a review of the curriculum, we have to look at how we can insert teaching our children our values, that they should not steal, they should be honest, they should tell the truth. We must teach them at that stage, because it says, teach the child the way it should go, and when they grow, they will not depart from it. We're not teaching them, but yes, we complain that they are not patriotic and they are not responsible. And so that's about all. Proper musicians, I've written down all the things you've said. You need a place where you can perform, you need help with equipment and all that. I know this region has produced a lot of well-known musicians, even internationally, and we recognize all of them, King Ayusoba and all of them. And so thank you very much. Traditional rulers talked about peace, and that peace is important for economic progress. So I thank you. We've got all that you said, and we will take action on them.